and that includes clothes, vehicles, furniture, and the same applies 2.81%, no payments, no interest for the first year, and up to a 30-year term. That personal loss also applies to homeowners as well, so they can get the 500,000 for physical damage and an additional 100,000 for personal loss as well. For our business community, we're still offering up to $2 million for physical repairs and damages, and that's at an interest rate as low as 4% and a term of up to 30 years. Again, no payments and no interest for the first year. And lastly, for economic injury, so those businesses that have suffered economic injury, they can also qualify for up to $2 million, again, up to a 30-year term as low as 4%, no payments, no interest for the first year. I do want to stress that the deadline for physical damages is September 4th, as I just noted, less than a month away. Economic injury is up until April 6th of 2026. So for economic injury, we do have a little bit of more time, but those interested in physical damage applications would have to submit them here within the next 3 weeks, give or take. So just wanted to share that bit of information again and continue to ask and say we're here to collaborate. We're here to help get this information out. And if we can continue to rely on the city and members of the city to get the information out, we'd greatly appreciate it. So,
Mr. Morales, thank you for all you're doing for our community. I appreciate it. Please
Thank
tell
you.
your crew too. I know they're from all over, so thank you. Thank
Of
you for
course.
being here.
Can I ask just one
Yes,
question?
please.
Because I hate to say that there's rumors that spread during times like this, but I heard one the other day that funding sources for SBA were depleted. Can you dispel that for me, please?
So SBA, I will say, unlike most grants, doesn't have a cap on it. We don't come into a disaster and say we're only going to offer $10 million or $20 million. And these are loans that are backed by the U.S. Treasury. So if it means that we're going to help each and every single person that's here, it don't matter if that number is 1 million or 300 billion. We were at the 10 billion mark in LA at the wildfires. We're past
Wow.
the 10 billion mark. So there's really no plateau that we have where we say stop. So
Thank you.
absolutely a rumor. And there's been others that I have heard and I've been like, oh no. So, really this collaboration and sharing our information is one of the ways in which we try to make sure that people are getting the most up-to-date and correct information as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Morales.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Benjamin Miranda.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Benjamin Miranda. I represent Endeavors. We are a faith-based nonprofit organization headquartered in San Antonio, Texas. And the reason I'm here is I want to pledge our support and continued support for the long run to be able to serve this community. One of the things that we've instituted in the last couple of weeks is we are providing free at no cost services to first responders, veterans, their caregivers, school teachers and students, and any vulnerable population that was affected by the floods with free mental health care services, wellness programs, navigation programs, case management services. One of the things that we're currently looking at is we are going to be leasing office space here in Kerrville, and we're going to put a permanent location to continue to provide these services for the community. So we are in the final stages of signing that lease. But one of the things is I just wanted to make a formal introduction to who we are. We've been serving vulnerable populations across the state of Texas for the last 56 years and across many communities in the United States. And one thing that we stay true, we were put in this earth to serve and to serve those that are the most vulnerable. And we do it like our Lord Jesus Christ did it. We're here to serve regardless of who you are and how you were impacted. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I will, once we're done, I will give you my contact card, because if you have any questions, any community member or anybody that needs our services, or you have a very unique case and just that individual is not being helped, please get a hold of me. We're here to serve. Thank you so much, Mayor, council members. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miranda. Any others?
No, sir.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and start with item 2A. Ms. Hagemeyer.
Thank you, Council. I'm just going to kind of piggyback off of our two public speakers, giving y'all an update for where we stand. Right now, with FEMA, we have 3,000 valid registrations. 1,292 inspections have been issued, and nearly all of those have been returned. FEMA for individual and household program, which assists with critical expenses that cannot be covered in any other ways. They provide enough money up to the program limit to return your item or service to, may not be exactly where it was, but kind of where it is right now. There are 546 eligible cases, and they have awarded $6 million at this point. Housing assistant referrals are at, there are 314 that are eligible at 3.9 million. For the Red Cross, they have 115 overnight stays, emergency supplies to nearly 2,000 households, 163 immediate assistant cases, 484 home damage assessments, of which 319 were major or destroyed. And they are also assisting with the Goodwill that has clothing for free over by Hometown Crafts. Over there, they have a second Goodwill store for that. We have the Disaster Relief Center at First Baptist Church. They are there from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mental Health Services, MHDD, has seen 12,000 visitors at the Shriner One building. And we are right now working with Kerr together in our next step at case management. And we're working on our messaging and assistance to get that information out to the citizens. So just so that y'all know, those numbers are Kerr County, all of those numbers from FEMA and Red Cross, that's Kerr County together. They don't break it out into Kerrville.
Kelly, do you know if there's still places available for teams to sleep
Yes.
other than in their car?
We are still working on whenever we have those cases come up, trying to find those. So
Who would they contact?
you can contact me.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
And we can get with our sources between KEDC and I. We can get with our sources to see what we might be able to do. We do know that that is something that we're going to need to continuously talk about as we rebuild, and large amounts of either volunteers or our registered, our VOADs come in and they help with rebuilding.
Okay.
So
And did your email change since you moved over to KEDC?
No, I'm still with the city. So
Okay.
yeah, so kelly.hagmeyer
Okay.
at kerrvilletx.gov.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Any other questions or comments from Ms. Hagemeyer? No, thanks. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Item 2B, Kerr Together update. Former Mayor Todd Bach.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Todd Bach, Kerr EDC, here to give you a little insight as to what Kerr EDC has been working on over the past month or so. And we continue to work diligently on the development of the long-term recovery plan for Kerr County. And we've also included Comfort in that scope of work, including Kendall County. The board and Teresa and myself are working on the framework and building around what long-term recovery looks like, and working with getting information so that we can gather up all the resources that we have currently, getting together with a lot of our different community partners all the way from the east down to the west. I can say that I'm very pleased with a lot of the organization that's going on within each individual community. They are gathering up, which makes long-term recovery much easier versus when you've got within those bedroom communities in the city of Ingram, when they start forming their own groups for recovery, it really helps because it gives us a voice that Kerr Together and the Kerr Together Task Force can listen to in order for us to get the resources both for short-term and for long-term recovery to the needs. And I know Teresa and Kelly are work diligently every single day meeting with our TDM supporters. They help guide us through this process of what it looks like to build a sustainable long-term recovery team. And I will say this and continue to say this for many years to come. Long-term is long-term. And we want to do it, we want to do it right, and we want to do it with organization, and everybody's working with passion. And again, I'm very pleased with the way everybody has come together within their communities, and what we'll be charged with is gathering all of them up, getting them in a room together, which we are through Kerr together from a community. It's a ground up, the long term is a ground up process. As we all know, a lot of our state partners will be leaving the area soon. And what Kelly and Teresa and myself are working on is taking over that support that the community is going to need in the long term, as well as some immediate needs that you've addressed, Ms. Hughes. And if anybody needs anything at this point, we're your contact points. You go to my email is kerredc. kerredc@kerredc.com, and we share information throughout the day amongst each other. Teresa, myself, and Kelly all have different points of contacts for different resources, and we all together can help people get the needs that they need. And continue to send everyone to kertogether.com. It's a resource page that we continue to keep up to date as possible, working with the local JIC, working with the local organizations who put out their own press releases and vetted through them. As far as working with the disaster relief and the long-term recovery, Kerr EDC continues also to stay in contact and work with our local businesses and get their needs. And those that were unaffected by the flood still have needs. We still have workforce challenges, hoping to continue to work in a direction that Kerr EDC had planned to prior to the disaster, because we had unmet needs in our existing community and our business community prior to that. So we're not going to let them fall through the cracks or neglect them as well. And want to let you know that been on the phone yesterday with the Office of the Governor and Adriana Cruz. They have contacted Teresa and I and are wanting to put together, at the governor's request, a local business disaster relief gathering, and we'll be working on that. Time and date and location is to come, and we'll get the programming for that put together, and we'll have resources from the state of Texas there to address the local business needs for the business community. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Teresa real quick to let her kind of update you on what the day-to-day and the meetings and what she's been working on for Kerr EDC current and the long-term recovery. Any questions?
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Good evening, Council. It's a pleasure to be here and nice to see all of your faces again. So kind of dovetailing off of a lot of what you have already heard, specific to the long-term recovery group, some of the meetings that we're holding on a regular basis. We started off in the middle of response, holding a TDM coordination or stakeholder meeting. Every day it started at 4 p.m. We were at the off-site Emergency Operations Center with TDM, pulling together all of the VOADs in that meeting and having conversations about unmet needs, coordinating those efforts. We've since scaled that back. This week we announced we would be doing that twice a week, Monday and Wednesday. But just this week, we also decided or realized very quickly that one of the biggest needs in the community is the long-term coordination and case management within the community. So as an individual or as a business, when you first went on to that ISTAT, that TDM site to submit your unmet need, it created a case, and that case management happened within their TCR, their community resource platform. And now we're getting to the phase where we need to bring our long-term volunteer organizations that are here, like Endeavor, bring them into the conversation about what long-term case management means. So your immediate response and unmet needs are very different as you progress through the phases of disaster. And so these meetings, the main stakeholder meeting will continue on Monday afternoon. Wednesday will be dedicated to our VOAD partners and our long-term case management. Those will be our volunteer coordinators, that will be our donation coordination, and all of the people in the community that are working to ensure that all of the unmet needs in the community are being addressed. That's for both the business as well as the individuals. So that's a primary focus at the moment, making sure that everyone is receiving the resources that they need and they're receiving the communication in the manner that is best for them to digest. We have heard that in communication, that a lot of the information that has gone out sometimes can feel overwhelming. So we're also working through the long-term recovery group to put together a communications team that can kind of compile that information and make sure that we're getting it out appropriately to the different areas within the community. Any questions?
Questions or comments?
to,
Go ahead.
Teresa.
there's so many websites, there's so many numbers, and I had a number I'd memorized early on, the 210 number. And that's like anything. Do you still use that number?
So we're-
210-895-3212, I think is what it was. It was, I think Tita managed it, and it was for just, if you don't know where to, call this number.
So we've gone through a variety of different telephone numbers and phone banks, and unfortunately, it was a tedious process to maneuver that in the early stages of the disaster. What will happen coming alongside long-term recovery is that we will stand up phone numbers associated with the long-term recovery group and each of those points of contact, and so that will begin to unfold as we build out the framework of the long-term recovery group, and as individuals are set with specific tasks within long-term recovery. So you'll have individual points of contact through that group that will address various needs: volunteer, donation, rebuilding efforts, whether you're a business or a home, mental health resources. So there will be a variety of different phone numbers and specific points of contact through that long-term recovery group.
But all those phone numbers will be listed on kertogether.com.
Correct. Together will continue to be the one-stop shop for all information. It's not perfect. We realize that. It's like every other website. It's living. It's changing all the time as information changes. So we have a very small group that's managing that. The best place for you to get information would be to send it to the Kerr EDC website, mine, or web email, which is Teresa, THERESA, M, @kerredc.com. Anything that you think needs to be up there, something that's missing, our feelings aren't going to get hurt. We look at it every day, and so what we see may not be the best or the easiest way for people to navigate, and so we're obviously open for suggestions and want to make sure that the information that is up there is relevant to the community. So if there's something missing or that needs to be changed, just please feel free to send that my way.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
And Todd, what is your email address again?
KerrEDC
Okay,
at kerredc.com.
that's what I wrote.
I know.
I thought maybe it was KerrED at kerredc.com.
All right, item 2C, recovery efforts. Who's going to start us off? Mr. Rice or Mr. Boyce? Mr. Rice.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we kind of talked about before, we're about 39 days, into this horrific event. Things are, kind of slowing down a little bit. And when we say slowing down, there's obviously still a lot of things happening, but they're starting to kind of, take motion into the different areas. We heard, from one of them, on the economic recovery side. We are also on the operations side, so kind of the search and recovery, efforts. And then, of course, debris management. On the search and recovery side, the EOC is still activated. We are actually having a meeting with the kind of a transition team tomorrow to kind of look at what the next operational periods are looking like. So we'll have some more updates that we'll be able to email y'all in the community out tomorrow. A lot of the stuff has shifted into economic recovery and debris management. Debris management also includes, among many other things, is the paperwork behind everything. So again, thank the team for all their due diligence on everything that they're doing with the paperwork. That's the stuff that usually gets held up the most. But without that, Mayor, I'd like to turn it over to Michael Hornis for the debris management and infrastructure update.
Mr. Hornis.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you all for taking the time tonight. Last time we talked, we just kind of went over it and didn't have any imagery to kind of showcase, and I think everybody's seen a lot of this already, but kind of roll through a few of these photos while we talk about the debris. I've been involved in a lot of conversations with a lot of folks about what's going to happen to the river. What's it going to look like, right? And I feel bad because every time I say the same answer, I'm like, it's going to look like the moon in some cases, because it really is, right? And it's certainly a huge economic driver for our town. It's the beauty of the river. It's a good portion of the reason all of us live here. So we wanted to make sure that as the debris contractors are moving through, they do it careful consideration. It's hard to look at Louise Hayes Park right now as you're driving over the bridge and think that that's happening, but it is happening. It's sad to say, in that little section of the bank right there past the dam, that gravel bar is at, my boys used to just run into those woods. I wouldn't see them for 2 hours, and they probably wouldn't be 50 feet away from me. But those are great climbing trees, and they had fun in them. And now I could see them half a mile down the river if I'm standing at that dam. Riverside Nature Center, that picture on the left, there was a lot of things that had to happen down there, none of which any of us wanted. But the impact of that is that's also a section that just kind of looks like scraped bare earth, right? So that is a section in town that had a considerable amount of debris under that bridge. Vehicles, search and rescue spent a long time down there. And TxDOT had to get under there and figure out if the bridge was safe.
Mm-hmm.
And they went down there carefully as they could, right? But it's hard when you're ripping trees out from underneath, and RVs and all the other debris. So I just want to show that. That's the updated photo from there. And then Camp Meeting Creek, where it joins to the Guadalupe, there used to be a bridge there. There will be a bridge there once more, little while from now. But that's actually probably the biggest piece of the river trail that sustained damage. So far as we can tell, and Jay Brimhall, Parks Department, has been going up and down that river trail with his staff this last month, and it held up really well. And so I'll take the wins. Small wins are great for staff, for us. This is a shot just below Nimitz Lake. As Dalton alluded to, search and rescue is continuing to look for those 2 missing persons. They were out at Nimitz Lake today, conducting some of that search and rescue. This is a shot of our debris removal. That is the intake facility for the water treatment plant. So we talked about last time, it's just inundated with debris. We pulled a truck out of that area as well, and I think we went 50 to 75 yards back, just removing debris that was a cause of the flood. I note in here that it comes through as a STAR request. A STAR request is if there's 2 types of public assistance projects. There's the emergency project, which is now, or when it initially happens, and people like TDEM, state agencies, they will take it on as a project, and then they will take on that 25% cost share, and FEMA pays for the remainder. And that's to address the emergent issues that are health, life, safety, those kind of things. And so this was one of those projects. So this is entirely run by TDEM in conjunction with our staff, because they had to get in there and clean out all the debris. But that's something that's not really going to cross Julie's desk in finance, which is a blessing, because there's your big bills.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of these little projects has has a hefty price tag. So staff has been working on the plant. They are done with this dredging project. I think we're going to start turning water pretty soon. And so there's been a lot of comments and a lot of concern about like the water's not in good shape. The water's actually in really good shape. And so, you know, if you imagine this stuff, I mean, it came through and it went, right? And so it cleared out a lot of things. And staff's going to monitor it. We're going to continue to test it. And we're hoping by the end of the week that we'll be off stage 4 restrictions and back on the water plant up and running and moving forward. This is my afternoon just about every day out at Loop 534 at the soccer fields. It's probably hard to see, but there is just tree debris and construction debris and white goods, which are recyclable materials, kind of strewn all throughout. If you haven't gone to check it out, it's an awesome site in that it's just so much stuff. Here's another shot of it. Those are refrigerators, ovens, washers, dryers, and just an excavator behind it, moving through that woody debris. They bring it in. A lot of times people do their best to separate it all out into separate piles, but it doesn't always happen. Can't expect that out of folks entirely. And so they separate those materials out again when they get to the site. And we didn't get a chance to talk through numbers last time. And so TxDOT was the first group that was able to get started. They got they were a few weeks ahead of the Texas Department of Emergency Management in terms of how they could contract. They already had debris contractors. And so they have accumulated about 80,000 cubic yards of debris, which is a big number. TDEM has 2 contractors, one who's working west of Thompson Drive, the bridge, and the other going east to Centerpoint from the bridge there. And so all in total, as of yesterday, they'd done about 115,000 cubic yards. Now the next question that came up at my meeting was, do we know how much debris there is in total? I don't. A lot of factors are involved there. How much debris is going to be taken? How much debris is going to be left? Private property owners might say, no, I don't want you to take anything off my property. I'm just going to leave it here, right? But 1.5 million cubic yards, so that's 10%, you know. So still a long way to go. TxDOT did announce that they probably are a few weeks away from mostly being done. They just do their roads. They just do state roads. The other 2 contractors do city, county, and some private roads as a part of theirs. Private roads that have access, public safety access. And they have started now to do what's called PPDRs, private property debris removal. So I'll get into that here in a little bit, but essentially most of this is on private property, right? There's a very limited amount of this that's in the public land. Don't feel the need to read this. They are hiring folks to help monitor the debris collection. I've left about 50 of those flyers out front at the admin desk out there. They're looking for folks to help them, and this is, people would go out, they would monitor those folks. They're picking up debris, you put it in a GPS, make sure that that debris actually gets to where it's got to go. There's a lot of people watching and doing and making sure that it's all being done above board. There's a phone number right there that you can contact to get in touch with them. There's a website for the debris. There was a QR code, but I'm not smart enough to put that on there. But it's on the flyer outside. And it says it's $1,300 weekly, so it's not terrible, you know. Then there is this private property debris removal. I can't read that myself, but this is essentially what has been going out to folks and kind of indicating where they need to go to sign up to have that debris removed from their property. And so there's 3 locations: Ingram Volunteer Fire Department in the lower field behind it, Center Point Volunteer Fire Department, and then Vineyards up in Hunt. So they have 3 locations. They asked us to talk about it specifically because they hadn't had a whole lot of participation here at the city. Now, I think that stems from a few things. I think there's folks who already got it moved out to the street and they're done. They're good to go. We had a lot of volunteers coming in, moving it out, or took it already. But wanted to make sure we highlighted that. And if folks need someone to come take their debris out, they can go to any one of these 3 locations and sign up. You can't just walk in, though. You have to have kind of a lot of information. It's a federal project. So you gotta, if it's your house, you know, your deed of trust, your driver's license, proof of property ownership, basically. And you don't need all of these things, you just need some of those things. And there's a number down there at the bottom to contact them as well, and they will get you started setting up. And that number is 210-750-3099. Let's see. That is all I have. I can assure you that the soccer fields will look in very good condition when this is all over. That's part of the deal. They have to restore it. It'll be restored better than new, is what I've been told. So I'm holding them to that. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to any questions you have.
I want to make sure I heard you right. We are hoping to have the water plant in operation soon.
Yes, sir.
The water testing comes back clear and no other debris is found within the intake system.
That is correct. And we will provide notification out to the public when we're getting ready to do all that. It's not on now.
Any other questions for Mr. Horners or Mr. Rice? Go ahead, please.
I do. Okay, so this pile of debris, is it drying? What will happen next with?
So there's a couple of things that they're doing. The air curtain incinerator we spoke about last time, right? That burns that wood. That wood has to set for 60 days before they can do that.
Okay.
Or they can chip it. So they have a grinding machine out there. It's hard to see it, but it's that on the left there. So they are grinding, and then they have to have a final disposition site for that. So they're giving this or paying someone, I think, to take that chip, right?
Okay.
And so each one of the contractors has to have that, and they have to have that for everything that they've got. So it took a little while to figure out at the dump, was it better to take it to the facility here or to transport it all the way to San Antonio? And that was a lot of back and forth, and it's a lot of dollars.
Right.
And they're going to make thousands and thousands of trips. And so yeah, they are chipping it now, and that's the 2 processes to remove it: chip it, and then to burn it in that air curtain incinerator.
You have to wait for it to dry to chip it?
You don't have to wait to dry to chip it. You can just chip it.
A lot, I did not know, so. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a general question, and I don't know if it's for you, Michael, or for Todd and Kurt, EDC, but is there still a place for volunteers to sign up?
Yes, so on the Kerr Together site, there's a section in there that says, I want to help.
Okay,
And then there's a section in there that says, I need help,
okay,
right? And so it kind of, it takes care of both. And
Okay.
so it asks you to, if you want to help, what are the resources you have? How many people? How long? What's the duration? Where are you located at? Are you local? Are you coming in from far away? And then for folks who need help, it's just kind of the reverse. I'm out here on my property. It's just me. I've got a bunch of debris in my backyard. Can someone come help me bring it to the street? Or better still, contact these folks about the private property debris removal, and then they'll take it out of there.
okay, thank you.
Just a question about the trees. driving across the Sidney Baker Bridge, you can look over downriver and all the trees are laid over, from the park. Are they gonna, I know they've got some, Jay, thank y'all for marking the ones that can hopefully be still alive in blue, but are the other ones just gonna come down? Are they gonna stay, or it's just?
So we had the Texas Forest Service arborists leading kind of a charge for us, and they marked within the river trail and the parks 2,050, 2,080 some trees to stay that were adjacent to the river, right? FEMA has kind of a guideline that if it's over 30% or it's cracked or more than X percent of the bark is removed, things that would lead to the death of that tree, or if the root system is pulled up, like everything you see right there past the dam, it just looks like a carpet pulled up, right? Those aren't salvageable. Now, we've talked to the contractors about taking 20 or so trees from each of the parks and setting those aside. We've gotten so many calls from people, well, we need to sell it, we need to make money off of it. I'm like, the state of Texas and the federal government are paying the bill, and I'm just gonna say thank you. Now, we can save some of those trees and you all can decide what you wanna do with those. But we didn't wanna create too many competing interests because it gets complicated really, really fast. So we're trying to save as much as we can, but there's a you know, the recovery phase, and then there's the mitigation phase after the fact. And so the example I've used before is when you drive through Bastrop now, it looks a whole lot different than it did in 2011, right? And that was a FEMA project to replant out there. And so I think there's a lot of work ahead of us in terms of what is it going to look like? What's the shape of the river going to look like? How much can we leave? How much do we need to just say be gone? Because it's a safety issue. If it's anchored in the bank, it's not going to go anywhere. But if it's sort of freestanding and another flood comes through, that thing's shooting down, right? And so we have to balance the conservation with the practicality of it all. But you know, the Texas Forest Service folks, those are the people you want out there tagging trees. Because the contractors brought me out and said, are you really sure that you want this tree to stay? And it was bent completely sideways, but it was green. And it'll probably grow up. It'll be weird looking, but I don't care. I want as many trees as we can have out there. Because it takes a long time for them to grow back, right? A long time. And so there's a bunch of tree huggers out there who are marking your trees, and I was happy to Jay was happy to walk around with them and do that. And so we'll see. It certainly is not going to look the way that we all want it to look in the next few weeks.
I commend all y'all's work, so thank you.
Thank you,
Working
Michael.
hard and it shows.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Mr. Hornis. There's no need to go into executive session, so unless y'all have something else to discuss in our workshop, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn us at 5:42. Y'all ready? Y'all ready?
Sure. Here you go.
Staff, are you ready? Good. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Kerrville City Council meeting for August 12th, 2025. Please rise for the invocation and pledge, announced by Brenda Hughes.
And at this time, I would like my friend Ryan Pendergraft to lead us in the pledge. Go right ahead, sir.
Y'all bow your heads with me, please. Father God, we come before you in the name of Jesus, and we just lift up all the people in the community that have lost. Lord, we lift up this town, we lift up the surrounding areas, and we just pray that you give them peace and comfort and help them to move past this and recover as best they can. Lord, I want to pray that you give this council wisdom, knowledge, and discernment as they make difficult decisions moving forward in the coming days. Lord, I want to pray that you just be with the entire area as we move from the craziness, the rush, into the grind of real recovery. It is going to be tough, and we pray that you give us the strength and resilience to do what we need to do. And lastly, I want to thank you for the way this community came together, no fuss, got it done, and helped each other, and truly exemplified the meaning of love your neighbor. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Would you just turn and face the flag? If you're wearing a hat, please take it off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ryan.
Stuart, do you have any announcements of community interests?
We have one. It's been a while because we're kind of operating on a downsized schedule right now, but we do have an announcement tonight, and that's if you want to play kickball, you have 10 days left to sign up. We encourage you to come out and do that. Deadline is August 22nd. The entry fee is $3.50 per team. That's what, you put 10 in the field or 9? I can't remember. It's 10, right, just like softball. We encourage everybody. You starts September 3rd. Games are on Wednesday nights out at the sports complex. If you want to feel like a kid again, come out and play this game, or just come out and watch it. It's a lot of fun. And that's our announcement for tonight. And I turn it over to y'all.
Thank you,
Thank
Stuart. Any announcements from the council? Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm pleased to announce that we're going to go forward with our Downtown Water Street Festival, October 25th. We thought about it, and the day we were trying to make the decision, the T-shirts came in. So we said, you know, we need this, and we consulted with our other board members and committee members, and they said, yes, we need this. So it's a one-day event from 10 to 4, Saturday, October 25th. The streets will be closed. You can grab whatever you like to drink and eat and walk around and visit with your other businesses downtown. Thank you.
Yep.
This Sunday is going to be an event called Guitars and Greens. Fortunately, the golf portion of the greens is sold out, but the guitars part is still open, available at the Arcadia, starting at 5 o'clock. Going to have a couple of people perform that have already been committed. One guy just sang with George Strait at his event a couple weeks ago. Kyle Park's going to be in Kerrville. Rick Trevino was one of the first ones to commit, and another guy named Uncle Lucius is going to be here. That's going to be at 5 o'clock at the Arcadia Theater. All the funds, 100% of these funds are going to the Hill Country Arts Foundation to help rebuild the Point Theater that was washed away. So it's, you know, if you go to the Hill Country Arts Foundation, if you want to go to the concert, go to their website and buy tickets on the website. And the artist donated all of their time and trip over here to give back to our community. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yep, I'm good.
I was invited to speak tonight at a concert in Austin. A Song in the Storm concert to benefit victims of the Texas floods. The headliners are Lyle Lovett and Michael Murphy. And for some reason, I chose to be here tonight. Because I thought the Mayor Pro Tem Brenda Hughes would kill me if I were. Anyway, I hope they have a successful event, and I hope they raise a lot of money for the victims of this flood. Our next item is a presentation, and I'm going to ask Councilman Jeff Harris to join me down front for a proclamation concerning Veterans Patriot Day and 9/11 Walk.
General Oates, would you care to join us?
Sure, sure.
Would you introduce us? Introduce the thing.
Absolutely. I'm gonna read it.
I'll read it.
He's gonna read it. But, Mayor Herring, General Mike Oates, I'm honored to serve on a couple of boards with you, and, I'm honored that you've asked me to MC the walk again this year, for 9/11. And it's just it's an awareness that Mike decided he needed to make sure happens so we never forget. Because some things like July the 4th, we would like to forget in the future. But things like 9/11, we never want to forget because that was an attack on our country. And Mike, thank you for your leadership.
Thanks, sir. What I'll do is I'll read the proclamation. I'll ask you to say a few words. All right, sir. All right. This is a proclamation of the city of Kerrville. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, one of the darkest days in American history, the United States of America was attacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists in New York City, Washington, D.C., and in the skies over Shanksville, Ohio, killing nearly 3,000 men, women, and children. And whereas, responding to those attacks, America's law enforcement officers, firefighters, first responders, and other emergency personnel showed true heroism, and we remain forever grateful for their selfless courage in defense of our freedoms. And whereas, in the years after 9/11, United States servicemen and women deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and the Horn of Africa to engage in combat with Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and others responsible for 9/11 and other terrorist attacks. And whereas, over 2 decades, thousands of citizens from the Texas Hill Country have answered the call to fight in the global war on terror, with 3 Kerr County veterans, Jacob Light, Lawrence Ezel, and Cody Orr being among those killed. And whereas by a joint resolution, Public Law 107-89, approved on December 18th, 2001, the United States Congress designated September 11th of each year as Patriot Day. Now therefore I, Joe Herring Jr., Mayor of the City of Kerrville, do hereby proclaim September 11th, 2025 as Patriot Day in Kerrville, Texas, and encourage all citizens to join me in remembering those who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001, and the years following in the global war on terror, and to honor all Americans who preserve liberty and security for their fellow citizens, regardless of personal cost. And I sign this proclamation. Thank you, Mayor. Please say a few words. Please say a few words.
Well, first, Mayor, thanks very much, and council members and leaders of our city. I'd like to say thank you first for your leadership. We have a saying in the Army that nothing displays character like tragedy or tough times, and you certainly have stepped up, and thank you as a citizen. Second, I thank you for this proclamation because sometimes it takes a tragedy for us to remember the things that are most important in life. September 11th was a traumatic event for our country and for the world. The last few years, I got to thinking we weren't really spending much time thinking about that. And so I appreciate the official recognition that we will take a day and recognize as Patriots Day that we were attacked, but the 20 years after that, that many brave Americans went out and did the nation's bidding to try and keep the enemy in foreign shores, not back here. And 100% we did not have another attack here in this country. So thank you very much. We're going to commemorate this event on September 11th, an easy day to remember. September 11th, out at Shriner at 5 p.m. All of you are welcome, please. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Appreciate it.
All right. Visitors and Citizens Forum. Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
Yes, sir, we have 3. Daniel Gulbranson.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. Go to the microphone. If you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello. That's all right. I don't need that. I can talk loud. Good evening, council. I'm Daniel Gulbranson from California. It's burning. Texas is drowning. Two extreme, two disasters. Some of our leaders in California are standing with Band-Aids for an amputation. We've all heard the excuses. It hasn't happened for 100 years. We don't have the money. We'll form a committee. We'll get a grant. And my favorite, this should never happen again. Well, you know what? It shouldn't happen in the first place. Don't tell me we can't afford prevention, whether it's here or in California. What the cost of rebuilding is 10 times greater, Don't tell us you didn't see it coming. I'm talking about California. When history, science, and common sense all scream a warning. A leader acts before the fire starts. A leader fortifies before the flood hits. A leader fights for resources, even when budgets are tight, because lives are not a line item of disposable victims. Let's also be honest, weather has been changing for millions of years. Stop blaming every disaster on climate change or on Trump. Whatever political villain or boogeyman you see, you've got to trust your government is what I hear. But without accountability, it's a blank check for disaster. But every year we choose reaction over prevention. The bill is paid with ashes, mud, ruined lives, and deaths. Hundreds of them. Even deaths of little girls that put a name tag on their clothes so their mom and dad can find their body and know soon that it's there. So here's my challenge to the council. Whenever you hear, next time, never should this happen again, be ready to tell people exactly what you've done to prevent it. Not guess about it, but prevent it. No excuses, no delays, no passing along. You know what? Fix it. And I'm sorry I'm from California, but that state sucks. And I'm telling you, you should be thankful you're here, but you've got to stand up. We need people to stand up and redress our government. Because if we don't, we're going to lose it. So thank you.
Next,
Gabriel Perales.
Mr. Perales. Either one, it's fine.
Mr. Mayor, council members, again, I will reiterate some of the information I shared earlier. I know we do have a couple of new faces here in the crowd. And so my name is Gabriel Perales, Public Information Officer with Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. And I'm here for the purpose to share that SBA is still offering low-interest disaster recovery loans for the survivors of the July 4th flooding. You can get these loans if your home has suffered physical damage. You can qualify for up to $500,000 at a low 2.81% interest rate over the course of a 30-year term. If your business has been impacted and suffered physical damage, you can qualify for up to $2 million with an interest rate as low as 4% up to a 30-year term. And again, no payments, no interest for the first year. For renters that may have suffered renters and homeowners that may have suffered personal loss, whether it be clothing, vehicles, furniture, they can also qualify for $100,000 at 2.81%, no payments, no interest for the first year, and up to a 30-year term. We want to share with you that the deadline is rapidly approaching and is September 4th of 2025, and that is for anybody who has suffered physical damage at either their home or their business. So we encourage people that are still interested in applying to reach out and either stop by one of our disaster recovery centers that we have here we have a disaster recovery center and a business recovery center, both in Kerrville, literally across the street from each other. And you can also still apply online at sba.gov/disaster. And so, in speaking and piggybacking off of the gentleman that just spoke, one of the things that SBA doesn't talk about too often, but you can also qualify for an additional 20% for future mitigation efforts. So if you are interested in building back better to help save property and life in the future, mitigation might be a way to consider rebuilding, and we also offer an additional 20% of your total loss for future mitigation efforts as well. With that being said, I know that the community at large, if you weren't affected, if you're not a person that was affected here, I'm sure with a raise of hands, everybody knows somebody who was impacted. So please pass this information along. The deadline is quickly approaching, and we certainly hope to be able to help as many people as need be for those that were either underinsured, not insured, or just don't have the means to get their rebuilding efforts back. We're here to help. So thank you again, and we're here to help whenever needed.
Thank you, Mr. Perales.
George Baruti.
Rudy?
George Baruti, 1616 Glen Road. You have to forgive me, I'm here really because I couldn't be here at 2 when you guys talked about the budget, so my little 2 cents for that. So the main thing is just sort of plant a couple of seeds, talking about property tax. It gets talked about all the time as if it's somehow profit, when it's really just fee for service. It's basically a net zero transaction. You're paying to live in the city and receive the services that are coming to you, which is why whenever we give away property tax, whether it's future or present or whatever, you're giving away fee for service. You're basically shortfalling your own budget, which you're going to choose to direct staff to look into a little later in this meeting. The other thing is, I haven't looked over it completely, but I have reviewed some of the proposed budget, and it talks a lot about sustainability and trying to make some wise cuts or whatever. Just keep in mind that a cut is different than a deferment. So, for instance, I think the proposed budget is deciding to hold back a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's a lot, but on asset management or asset replacement. That's not really a cut. That's just deferring that expense to another year. Big difference. The street maintenance, we're going to kind of hold that flat. It's already in a underfunded position anyways. We know this from the last street repair report we got. It says we need $5 million to keep our streets at a static level of repair. We're only putting in $2 million a year. So again, that's just deferring it. It's not cutting it. We need to look at ways to make legitimate cuts or come up with more revenue. And property tax revenue isn't that kind of revenue. And then keep in mind, again, the frozen tax situation that we have in a community like ours. any increase in property tax is really an increase on a smaller and smaller group of the population. And so we really need to address that in some other way. Chasing after sales tax is not bad, but just keep in mind that obviously it's a volatile situation. But then also, one last thing on these incentives I'll keep it for the discussion when you come up with it later. That's good, thank you.
Thank you, George. Anybody else?
No, sir.
Right. The next item is the consent agenda. These items are considered routine and can be approved in one motion unless a council member, staff, or member of the public asks for separate consideration of an item. Council want to pull anything? All right. Is there a motion then on the consent agenda?
Make them, go ahead, Ken.
I'll second.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda items 4A, 4B, and 4C.
That was seconded by Kenny. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote, and it passes unanimously. Next item is 5A, a resolution amending the City of Kerrville fee schedule by revising various fees applicable to the use and services provided by the city's Scott Shriner Golf Course. Mr.
And
Brimall.
Mayor, we do have one citizen speaker.
We'll get to the citizen speaker after the presentation.
Perfect. Mayor and Council, good evening. As everybody in this room knows, we're excited to get back open something after this terrible disaster. It's wonderful to be able to open something, and we're excited to do so. It's been closed for quite a while, the golf course, and we've made some substantial investments into that golf course. And in so doing, we contracted with Mitch Harrell to help kind of guide us through that process so that hopefully it can be self-sustaining. And I'd like to turn the time over to him for a presentation, and then we'll answer questions as necessary. Thank you.
I want to comment on your tie. Always like an orange tie.
Just for you.
Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing me to be here and to be involved with the golf project at Scott Shriner Golf Course. It's been interesting, a lot of fun. We're, approaching reopening on or about August 27th is kind of the date we're targeting right now, right before the Heart of the Hills tournament. We should have everything in reasonably good condition by then. We've had, some stumbles along the way, obviously, with certain little things, but overall, I think everything's going to be good. We've got new golf carts. The city's invested on or about $4 million in the project. And so the fee schedule that's in front of you is reflective of basically a new golf course with that's way better than what we had before, and also reflective of the other courses in the area that we compete with, which, Lady Bird Johnson, Buckhorn, those type of things. So I happy to answer any questions. I'm going to read down the fee schedule for you.
Any questions? Go ahead, please.
Okay, when did we have our last increase on rates? Do you know the history behind our fee schedules?
I want to say it was a year ago, and it was like $1 increase.
And then these numbers that we have here on this report, where did you get those? Like, how did you come up with the numbers for the increases and the actual numbers of the fees?
Well, yeah, once again, it was comparing what we were charging to what Buckhorn and Lady Bird Johnson were charging, and also comparing, that we've spent a significant amount of money on this golf course, and it's going to be improved and way better than what we, I think the rates are.
That's who you compared it to, was Buckhorn and Lady Bird.
Correct.
I guess that's all you have to compare it to, but then the hours, there's the prime rate. Could you just refresh my memory on what that means? What's the differences?
Yeah, so using non-prime and prime rates is similar to weekday and weekend.
Okay.
Except that we would have the ability to charge more on a Friday. If a prime versus non-prime, if we were just crazy busy on a Wednesday, we might charge a prime rate on a Wednesday. it gives us the ability to move those timeframes around a little bit in peak periods.
So would after hours, like after 3 during the week, be a time when you might actually not charge as much, maybe? If you
Yes.
had, because I've been approached by a lot of families who literally after they all get home, after dinner, they go hit the driving range with the kids.
Sure.
And I do think they're gonna be the ones most affected by the rate increase. Not that it's not warranted, because I voted on the 4 million. I mean, I believe that we needed those improvements, and it's definitely been an investment. But I just want to make sure that we consider everyone, not just the seniors that have been playing there for many, many years, but families as well.
Well,
So-
and I believe that on the list, if you look down, there are twilight rates.
I guess I didn't know what time that.
Yeah, so, and again, that time can change depending on time of year. It's basically, twilight rate would be at a time when you probably couldn't finish 18 holes.
Okay, right, just play 9, okay. That's all I had, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I totally support what you're doing, Mr. Harrell and Jay, thank y'all. I'm fortunate enough, I know Mitch and I know his background and I know where he came from, and I've actually been out and played his course in Arizona. 20+ years in the golf business, I know that you did your due diligence in finding rates to be comparable. I know as soon as we closed Shriner, Lady Bird Johnson raised their rates. So they weren't really trying to take care of the Kerrvillians that would go over there and play golf. Buckhorn did the same thing. $4 million, you gotta recoup some way, somehow. The rates have to go up. I can't tell you how many years I've played on the weekends at Shriner, and I paid $32 with a golf cart. It's the best deal in Texas for a great golf course designed by Joe Finger. There was an article the other day that I just want to clarify a little bit. It was in the newspaper. It said we got new greens and a new clubhouse. There's a little bit more to it than that. We got new greens, new tee boxes, and new bunkers with capillary concrete in it. And I was over there with Mr. Hornish one day when y'all rejected a load of sand because it was not the right bunker sand that they shipped. We're not taking it. So the time, the money, and the effort that's been put into it, and the management skills and everything that y'all have done to make Scott Shriner Golf Course what it is and what it's going to be, great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
So, do these fees cover the expenses?
Yes, sir. They do.
So you've done projections, and you got, so this is, I mean, it's not just market analysis, but this will, I mean, one of the things we're really trying to do is not to have the golf course be a drain on our general fund budget, which Mr. Broody is correct to point out we have a lot of stress on already.
Yes, sir.
And so, so it's really, to me, it's more, I mean, we have to have a market rate. I mean, there's no use driving people away. It won't, but we also need to know that it's going to cover expenses, and we're not going to be in the hole again down the road and have to borrow a bunch more money. I think partly we've gone long too cheap, too long, and it's a little shock to make the change. But this is pretty cheap golf for a refurbished golf course, I think, or even if it's not completely refurbished, this is still pretty cheap. Golf courses are not cheap places to maintain.
No, sir. And Ken, if you'll allow me, the rates proposed are a range of rates, right? So you can see that it's a range of rates. So we will flex to what the needs are of the golf course. So if we feel like, okay, we're not getting enough play on a Tuesday afternoon, we can change rates. If we feel like, okay, Saturday morning is really, really busy, and I'm just throwing those kind of things out. So that gives us a range to work with, number one. In the past, I think you've only approved a rate. And from what the team has told me, they've always just charged that rate. Doesn't matter if they're not getting any business, they're still charging just that rate. So I'm going to work with them to try to make sure that we flex and move and try to get money in the door at all times. Secondarily, I worked with Julie Behrens and the finance team, and Rosa and Jay, in working out budget concerns and things like that, and the team at the golf course, Randy and Bobby as well, to make sure that we had the adequate amount of funds to get the job done, keep the golf course in good condition, but then also to make sure that we had the revenue stream to cover that and maybe spin off a little bit of money for us, so.
Good? Good. Brenda?
Oh, yeah, I just want to reiterate that, you know, this was a quality of life project. And a lot of our quality of life projects cost the taxpayers. And to have one that potentially can generate some revenue and make it a little bit lighter on the taxpayer, I'm all for it. I don't play golf. I don't know what they charge to play golf, but there are 3 people here that do play golf. And you all say that the fees are fair, and that's what matters to me, so.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We do have a citizen speaker.
Yes, sir. George Agner.
Wagner.
Good evening, George Agner, 604 Cardinal Drive. Thank you all. The only question I have is, I read in the paper that there was going to be a non-resident fee. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And I think that's a terrible idea, that you got to show your ID card in order to play golf. That Lady Bird Johnson, Flying Nail Ranch, and Buckhorn do not have a non-resident fee. Fredericksburg used to, Lady Bird used to, but they dropped it. And I've been playing over there since Shriner's been closed. But you consider the tourism that comes here, our winter Texans and all that. I think that's a bad message. We need to raise the other regular fees up $2, $3, $4, $5 to compensate for that. But don't gouge the visitors. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
George? Some may say instead of gouging the visitors, we're benefiting the residents. So that's how I would look at it. Any other comments or questions?
I just want to say one more thing about that. I think these are very fair rates. I just know there are some that play a lot that are families that may go out 4 times a week. And even if they bought your annual membership, that's, is that $1,200? It's $1,200. Then if you had another spouse that wants to play, that's another $1,000. And I don't know what the savings is, but I don't know how many would be able to afford $2,200 by that annual membership fee. So I'll probably vote for this because I do think, for me, this is a very fair rate. But I am thinking about some of the families that this might be a hardship, and even some of our seniors that are on tight budgets. So it'd be nice to see some programs coming down the road that maybe you have a month in the summer where you have a deal for families or seniors over 65 or something like that. That's all.
Thank you.
You do have flexibility for promotional rates.
Yes, sir.
Do you? Okay.
And we have opportunity to change these rates.
Sure.
I mean, these are not necessarily concrete forever. We're gonna, I mean, if something, whatever, if it's not working, we can take it.
Right.
All right. Is there a motion then on this resolution?
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 24, 2025, amending the city's fee schedule to revise golf course fees.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, so vote. It passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next item is resolution number 25-2025. Mr. Paxton.
And we
Good
do have
evening, council.
one citizen speaker.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I should have asked.
Okay.
This is a resolution for an extraterritorial jurisdiction release at 873 Harper Highway. There's a zoom in of that map. This is north on Harper Highway, adjacent to the city limits. Currently houses a fireworks stand. I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
We don't really have any choice about this. So.
If it's not approved by council, it is approved by operation of law. That's correct.
Right. We have any questions for Mr. Paxton?
Now I know what it is. For some reason, I didn't get a map, so now I know. And I didn't know what the use was. You said fireworks?
Yes.
Okay.
One citizen speaker, ma'am.
George Broody.
George Brewery, still 1616 Glen Road. So I had one question and then probably a follow-up comment, but did this applicant, and this really applies to the next item as well, did they get charged and did they pay this fee that we installed recently?
I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure.
Okay. I don't know if you all are aware, but this is the process where you guys voted to add a fee that, as you rightly pointed out, is pointless. It's also arguably not in your authority to do so. If you told the applicant or the petitioner, as the word that gets used, that the fee was required, then that would be a lie. Because as he pointed out, all that they're required to do is present a name that owns the property and a description of the property with a map. And if they do that and is verified as the owner by the secretary, then it's done. You don't need a resolution. You don't need to have council view it. The law says immediately after they submit it, it's done. So we're essentially wasting staff time, your time, and ours, going over this right now. And the only reason to have added that fee is to hopefully disincentivize or kind of steer someone away from getting out of the ETJ, which again doesn't make a lot of sense because we don't really get anything out of them being in the ETJ, and neither do they. The last whereas clause says this resolution is necessary and proper for the city to release the property from the ETJ. It's neither necessary nor proper because, as he correctly points out, all that's necessary is someone go to their deed, bring their deed in, hand it to the city secretary and say, we want out of the ETJ, done. It's over and no big deal. So I don't know why we're here. I assume we've created this process for some reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's my question. Why are we going through this process when it's totally unnecessary and the law says immediately after receiving the petition that's valid, they're released. So maybe help us out understanding why we're even here for these two items. Thanks.
Mr. Baruti, when you served on city council, did you take advice from yourself or from the city attorney?
Both, but I will say that since you asked the question, many times I was forced to take the advice and double check it because
You have a law degree? Are you licensed to
don't
practice
need one.
law?
A law degree gives you the right to represent someone else, not to understand the law.
While I serve on this council, I'm going to take legal advice
That's
from
fine.
someone who actually has a law degree.
That's
who's
fine. I'm not
licensed to practice law in the state of Texas.
right. Practice means represent someone else. So
I'm happy to hear your views on the law, but I don't agree with them.
Okay, and I'm not here to give you a legal interpretation. I was here asking you a question. Why are we here if the presenter tells you and he tells you that there's nothing you're actually doing here?
Are you done?
Huh?
Are you done?
Okay, you engaged.
Are you
All right,
done?
I'm done.
Good. All right. Is there a motion on resolution number 24, 2025?
I move that we approve
Is there a
motion
second?
26, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously. Item 5C.
Actually, it should have been 25-2025 for
Did
the
I say
record.
it wrong?
I said the wrong one, or
Yeah.
maybe we both did or whatever, but it was
25-2025.
Yes.
25-2025.
Yeah.
All right. Do we need to make that motion again? We can.
Mhm.
We all understood, even if we said it wrong.
Item 5C, resolution number 26, 2025. Mr. Paxton.
This is another extraterritorial jurisdiction release at 2660 Junction Highway. This is also a existing fireworks stand.
All right, do we have any citizen speakers on this one?
No, sir.
I'm surprised. Any discussion, or is there a motion then on Resolution 26, 2025?
I'll make a motion on resolution number 26-2025.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously. Item 5D, Development Agreement with West Springs Development LLC. Mr. Hornes.
Members of the council, good evening. So this was an item that we were to take up a month ago. And like everything, we have to push. But like everything, we still have to come back and do the business that we're here to do. And so tonight we're going to consider the development agreement between the city of Kerrville and the Whiskey Springs Golf Resort. Additionally, further down, we will discuss another item, which is a reimbursement agreement between Unicap. It's kind of like our engineers. We're just sort of a conduit through which that money funnels. And then finally, the continuation of Public Improvement District public hearing. Tonight we have Mr. Dale Beto and his associate, Mr. Jim Boyden. And we also have Pablo Brinkman here, and I believe their engineer, Michael Wilburn, is here from their team. And we have from kind of our side, I guess, Jennifer.
Side?
We're all on the same side. Jennifer Sloan from Unicap, who represents us as the kind of one of the financial advisors for this piece. But yes, we all sit at the table and intermingle. It's not opposite sides. It's been a minute since we talked about it, so an overview of this. It's at the intersection of I-10 and Highway 16. Some of the features, the hotel, I think the hotel at the golf course is less than 300 rooms. I think it's 180 rooms, give or take. And then there's two other hotels that will be closer to Highway 16 that will make up the bulk of those 300 rooms. Tournament level golf course, large lot residential properties. I know that number is not right. It's like 368, and I just didn't get a chance to change it. Several commercial lots, most of those adjacent to Highway 16, but a few of them kind of interior to the property once you get past kind of the Quinlan Creek area. And then multifamily units, kind of condo regimes, and 70 of those. This is kind of, we discussed this previously, that the current appraised value of that property was $7 million. Kind of one of the things that I wanted to highlight in this is there's been a development agreement in existence for this property for 21 years. And I've gone through, in my 3+ years here, a few iterations. And I know staff from Public Works has certainly done the same, kind of all to no avail. It's a challenging piece of property, right? Topography's, it's got a lot of twists and turns, and Mr. Beto and his group saw that and didn't see a challenge. They saw an opportunity in there. And so he's already carved out the entire golf course. It's an interesting looking course. I'd lose a lot of golf balls at that place. But moving on, the estimates we have on the build-out value just of the land, once it's parceled out, is about $238 million. And then at full build-out, looking at about a $1.1 to $1.2 billion valuation at full build-out. So part of what I try to wrap my head around when I'm talking to folks is that you have this non-producing property that is sat vacant for 21 years with a lot of ideas and then no one to really push all the way through those ideas. And these folks have come in and we're skeptics by nature when folks come and talk to us. I'm untrustworthy, and it's just my nature. And they have kind of continued to change my mind about that every time. Every time we have a question or concern, they go figure out the answer and come back and always ready to stand and kind of talk at the table. So one of the biggest concerns was the water supply, right? Now, this is an entitled piece of property, which means kind of by law, we have to serve it, right? And so we had kind of a strict adherence to what that would be. This thing had its own planned development district for so many homes, for so much commercial property, for so much multifamily property. And the golf was a really big challenge because that's just a lot of water and nobody else is on potable water. And so a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions. They are going to, as you can see in the development agreement, put together a pretty big package of public infrastructure to include storage ponds on the city site, which they will build and construct, as well as storage ponds on their property. Why do they have to build storage pond on our facility and on their own? Well, they have to do that because right now we don't have enough in the drought times for a 90-day supply. So we told them you have to have a big enough storage capacity to hold 90 days worth of water when we cut the service off, because we have customers who already need it and they're already obligated for it and they were last in line. And so again, it was just another iteration at the table of how are we going to accomplish this task? And they keep showing up. And so that's part of that is for them to build all that reuse infrastructure. And so they'll build a 10-mile line, I think, 11-mile line from our plant to their facility. They're going to have their own on-site storage facility or package plant. And all of that golf is irrigated by reclaimed water. So what does that mean for us? All right, you gotta excuse me, I'm running on a little sleep and I think I'm out of order. Essentially, when councils approved this years ago, they said, we want to reserve 500,000 gallons for us for direct injection, for direct potable reuse, for reverse osmosis as a future water source. And so Public Works and myself and the developers, we talked about that. When the city decides we want to implement a project like that, it's going to take several years from kind of start to completion. And so in that interim, while they're doing their grow-in period, we would allow them to use that 500,000 gallons for that grow-in period, so that way they can build up their storage ponds, so when summer hits, they have enough. We have the excess right now, we're not using it. And now that only applies for their grow-in period. Once that's over, that part comes back to us. What we've also agreed to is any new wastewater that's created, so Lennar's new buildings, the Bluewood Apartments, Comanche Trace's expansion, they would have kind of right of first refusal, let's say, on 50% of that new. Now, why should we let them do that? Well, they're putting in tens of millions of dollars in infrastructure for their reuse. And so we have a cap on that amount, which is a big number on an annual basis, but most of the golf courses, Comanche Trace being one example, uses about 250 million gallons of reuse water a year. And so that's kind of where we hit that mark. So they could take new wastewater, 50% of that, up to 250 million gallons. Now they're going to also produce their own wastewater once they get to full build out, but that's going to take 10 years or so. And so there's a lot of moving parts in all of this. Stop me if you have questions or I've said something that's confusing. Back real quick. So 100% reclaimed water for the golf irrigation. One of the bigger pieces is what we've talked about a lot is the low impact design. So they're going to have a property owners association. They're going to follow kind of the Hill Country guide to sort of how you do your landscaping. We asked them to include the Hill Country Alliance's kind of model HOA language in there to help work through that. They're going to have their own architecture review board for the homes, and Dale is committed to, if the tree's there when you bought the property, the tree's going to stay there once your house is built. And here's where you're allowed to build your stuff. Okay, what is before you tonight? So, Public Improvement District, their estimate is high, but you want to shoot beyond what you think you need, and then hopefully it's less than that. So the PID request is for them to take out up to $200 million in PID bonds. That finances that infrastructure. It's paid through assessments borne by the property owners themselves, so that's split out. If you have questions about the PID, how that apportions out, Jennifer Sloan here can help us with those answers. The second piece is the creation of a tax increment reinvestment zone. So this would be the third we have here in Kerrville for a 40-year term. And what we discussed was 30% of the maintenance and operations tax. So not this, like every other project that we've done where we have an incentive like this, this doesn't include interest in sinking or debt. This is only the maintenance and operations piece. So it's a low density, kind of high impact community. And when we looked at it that way, it made a lot of sense to include this. And then additionally, a 380 agreement, which will include sales and hotel occupancy tax rebates at 35% for 20 years, and that's starting in 2029. Now, mind you, all of these are performance-based. They are on the hook for $200 million worth of debt. Until they start getting properties that produce any kind of revenue, that's on their ledger. Doesn't come back to the city. It's not a debt obligation of the city. It doesn't affect our credit rating. It is just a financing mechanism that allows them, it's another tool in the toolbox. Okay, we had talked, the first two sections of the agreement, you have your recitals, right? The whereases, why are we doing what we're doing, right? The second section of that goes into the definitions, and I'm glad we have the definitions in there. There are 6 pages, I think, of definitions. It's a lot. But then we get into kind of the meat of it, which is section 3 deals with the authorized improvements. So all the things that the developer is going to have to build before they turn it over to us. So it's the same process we use for any other development. Streets, utility lines, raw water lines, reuse lines, their storage ponds, the storage pond that they're going to build out at our facility. They have to build those to our specs. They have to get inspected by our folks. They have to get approved. They have to have maintenance bonds after the fact, same as every other project. So section 3 talks about that. Section 4 goes into additional obligations. So that on-site wastewater treatment plant, we really don't want to be in the business of having a separate wastewater plant. That was kind of our intention the whole time, was that would be the responsibility of the developer for them to take that on. So the reclaimed water piece, we will, starting in October, I think we worked it where it was October, they would tell us how much water they estimate they need throughout the year. And then it's kind of just a delicate balance of we're filling the pond, they're using some of it to irrigate, and then they're filling the pond. And we do all that during the time when there isn't a whole lot of need for it, right? In the wintertime, it's a lot easier to just pump because everybody still uses just about the same amount of wastewater all year. But they don't irrigate. You know, not many of us irrigate in the wintertime. And again, we will supply that raw water that is for the city's purpose, just for that grow-in period, and allocate 50% of that new wastewater up to 250 million gallons per year. There's a mandatory POA, tree preservation requirements, native and drought-tolerant plants and grasses. The park dedication feature that's in there is also not a public park, so we didn't want new park systems, and they will maintain open trail systems within there, and that would satisfy the park dedication portion of that. but again, not public parks, so nothing for us to have to maintain. Section 5 goes into the PID and the bonds, and just deals with a whole lot of that. It's kind of repetitive in a lot of this. We speak to it in terms of whose obligations they are they ours, are they theirs? And then in terms of how the PIDs can function, what they can actually pay for. And then Section 6 deals with the TERS agreement and the 380 agreement. And again, that TERS is 30% for up to 40 years, and 380 agreement for 35% of the sales tax and hot tax for 20 years. And again, I'll say that those are, they have to perform, right? This is not, here's cash, go do your thing. If you build it and you produce, then we will give you that rebate. Section 7, 8, and 9 kind of get into all the legal questions, and if y'all have those, Mr. Hayes is right here. He can handle those for you. And there are 9 exhibits, and we apologize for that, but that's probably a 500-page contract when it's all said and done. Most of that's the provisions of the HOA and the other guidelines for the native plants. With that, next steps, if you all decide to, approving the development agreement. Later on in the agenda is the creation of the PID and the payment resolution. And then at future meetings, we would go for the PID piece, we would work through a preliminary service and assessment plan, which is basically how it's going to get apportioned, how it's going to get paid, cost determinations, several more agreements and ordinances into the future. This is for the PID. And then for the TERS piece, we'd work through a preliminary finance plan, public hearing notice, and then a draft ordinance. So those are all pending items to come into the future, should you all decide to proceed with this. And I'm going to stop talking now, sir.
Good. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hornis?
On the 35% hot tax,
yes, ma'am.
do we have a number at all of what that 35% is of, what that total is? I mean, I know it's estimated, but you're saying that they're performance-based?
Well, so if there isn't a hotel, right, then there's no incentive, you know. And if there is a hotel in the estimates, I have it, just.
I actually do too. If you want me to share it, I will.
Okay.
And Jim, if you have that information at your disposal, or Pablo, if you do. There it is. All right, so the 40-year estimates on the hot tax is $126 million.
Okay.
That's 40, and you had 25 on your slide.
Oh, yeah, for the hot, sorry.
Just want to make sure you.
Yep. So, yeah, I have a better number than that.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Other comments or questions?
We do have 2 citizen speakers signed up.
Good, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
I just had one quick question, and that is, on page 15, you talk about the traffic impact analysis, and I was just wondering when that needs to be done.
So that's a function of the plating process. And so that would have to be done kind of on that first plat, but that would.
Approximately when would that happen?
Well, it's kind of all predicated on what we do now, right?
Oh, well, yes. Okay.
They'll move forward with the P&Z process fairly quickly. That piece will probably go faster than our agreements.
Because I'm just curious about.
And so they do that. They'll do that based on the density estimates that they have, and so that would suffice for. They would do one kind of master traffic impact analysis for the whole development.
Okay.
Right? Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Let's hear from our citizen speakers.
Pablo Brinkman.
Mr. Brinkman.
Pablo Brinkman, 3928 Oak Park Drive, Mayor, Herring, Council. First time before you since the 4th. I just want to personally say thank you to each one of you and to staff and for representing. I've never been more proud to be a resident and being a part of Kerrville. My family moved here in 1968. We've been a part of Kerrville, and with that, we see different kind of growth, different kind of deals. Colleen and I, my wife and our firm, being a part of the whiskey team has been unlike any other thing that I've ever been a part of. The willingness and the education that I'm continually getting, some I don't want from Del Beto, but I get. But, you know, this tract, those that have lived here all since, you know, remember going there and having an ostrich eat corn and peck us. And I had a giraffe that bit me on the chest one time and tore a piece of skin out. And so we've seen that kind of come and go, and it's always just kind of been there. It's been a ceiling fan. You don't recognize it. You just kind of go, and you're heading 16 north, or, you know, or east, or you're coming into Kerrville. It's just kind of been there. And when you go and you see what the whiskey team has done with this property, and I think, I know it took somebody coming here with just a whole fresh approach who's not scared of, you can't build that here, you can't do those kind of things. Because Dale and Andy, they're on machines daily carving things up. And so this is an opportunity for Kerrville to have a lot of things. Yes, there's going to be a private golf course, but the amount of retail, the amount of infrastructure we're going to have from local, regional, national on a retail level, and the hotel capacities that we're looking at, it's just an amazing project that Colleen and I are blessed to be a part of. But I think more so it's the right time, more so than ever, to lift up and have an opportunity. I know Jim will speak to that a little bit, but I just wanted to thank y'all personally for everything you've done since July 4th, and of course everything beyond. But I've just never been more proud to be a resident here and look you in the eye and stand beside you. So thank y'all for everything y'all did.
Thank you.
George Baruti.
Mr. Baruti.
You mind if I just real quick? So the the calculations for the hot participation, so the total was over 40 years, right? But it's a 20-year incentive. The total for 40 years, 145 million is the whole range for that, and their portion that they would get back would be 19 million.
Okay.
A little bit over that.
Thank you.
20 years, they would get 19, and then the city's portion from start to 40 years, which is beyond that, 126 million.
Thank you, Mike.
Sorry, George.
You ready, Mr. Baruti?
Rudy, 1616 Glen Road. It is an exciting project. I'm not going to disagree with that. I don't like the way it's laid out for a couple of reasons. The one main one is when it was first presented, asking about the PID, the beauty of a PID is the development pays for itself, right? And when it was presented as a PID, that's what we were told. No other asks. This is what's going on. $200 million investment. We need a PID to finance it. Boom. Now you're going to add a TERS and a 380 agreement. The TERS itself kind of undercuts the beauty of the PID because it's actually a tax rebate. Add to that think about who we're incentivizing. The developer is building the house. Who's creating the property tax wealth, if you want to call that wealth? The homeowner or the property owner is paying the property tax, but we're going to divert their tax to them. So it's underfunding the government for its services. If it's not underfunding the government, then why don't we give a 30% rebate to everybody else that's living here? Of course, we wouldn't do that because then it would underfund the budget. So why do it for somebody new? Property tax is not profit. When you're messing with sales tax, now you're talking about something else. Now, this project, sales tax, who are we giving the rebate to? The person who built the business, built the building, not the hotel operator who is actually creating the hot fund. The retail outlet that's creating the sales tax is the one who's creating the wealth, deserves the incentive. Because if you give it up front to the developer who builds the building, when you're trying to incentivize a company coming here, who do you give it to? You don't give it to the building owner, you give it to the guy who's creating the wealth. It makes no sense. Now, they might stand up behind me and say, if we can't get this, then we can't do the development. Okay, back to the original point Mr. Hornis brought up. Currently, it's appraised at something. They don't show what the current cost burden is for this land. Right now, it's zero. There's no burden on the community for servicing that land. It's doing nothing. So it's all free money. Now, future appraised value is going to have something, some large number. I don't see any estimate of what the cost burden is going to be. That seems relevant to the discussion. The numbers that somebody asked about and he was giving us, that should have been the lead story of this discussion. How much is the ask? What's the estimate? It's an estimate, I get it. But how much is that over time? We're dealing with a budget right now this year that we're worrying about a few $100,000 of shortfall. And we're talking about millions of dollars of givebacks. And we're acting as though there's no cost burden to this community, this development. If it becomes a regional store, a regional place, what's that mean? That means people are coming here, they're driving on our streets, there's all that. All the homes that are there, that takes police and fire protection. It's insurance, they may never have a fire, but you have to have a force that's able to support that. We have to be having that as part of this discussion. I don't understand why that's not there. Now, I understand today isn't the day you're actually creating the details of this, so the framework, maybe you don't even care, I don't know. But again, a PID followed by a TERS, it makes no sense. It's one is a self-sustaining one, and the other one is a cost burden to the rest of the community. I don't know how you pull that off. Well, I do know how. Just sit and wait, and we'll see. The reuse water. One last question about the reuse water. I'm not sure the numbers he was.
The timer went off.
Oh, that was it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, just check the numbers on that, and the infrastructure cost is going to go unused if they take it to their plant.
You can ask me. We can talk after if you want.
Any other citizen speakers?
No, sir.
All right. All right, we have been talking about this as a council for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone to executive session where we've tried to go over all the different details, the variations of details, the variations of this very long development agreement. This development, this property was approved for development 21 years ago. People have come and gone trying to figure out how to make a development there that will serve the needs of our community. And I'm of the opinion we've finally found someone that will do that. I found a company that will build a development that will serve the needs of our community. I'd be happy to entertain a motion then on item 5D.
I'll make a motion that we approve this development agreement that we've just reviewed with Whiskey Springs relating to the use and development of 787 acres within the city to be known as Whiskey Springs.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll third.
Seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to
Go ahead, please.
say a few things. And Mr. Broody makes good points from a certain perspective, and I think council and through all its deliberations have taken a little different perspective. And Mr. Broody points out, yes, you know, the developer might not do this without the incentives that we're offering or not. But we're going through the budget process, and difficulties, a lot of the difficulties that we have is that we're overly dependent on residential. This is not strong on the residential side of things. The houses will be nice and expensive, but we're going to have 3 hotels. We're going to have retail spaces, and they'll be paying. There'll be opportunity to lessen the load on the residential homeowners over time by having that. We are in, just by adding the volume, we have efficiencies that can be picked up over time. And yes, we may add a certain percentage of population, but we not necessarily having the same percentage of expense for fire and police. So some of the growth is necessary. If we don't have new properties added to the community, that's the only way we're even managing close to budget this year, is because we have a little larger amount of new properties on the tax rolls. If we don't have new properties on the tax rolls, we're sunk for our general fund. The state caps us at 3.5%. We do have those that are frozen. We really only can do about 2.5%. Inflation has been way over that. And we're in a real box for property tax income. And we have a hard time taking risk, especially for a piece of property that's been looked at for 20 years or more and is sitting and doing nothing. We really need to take the land that's in the city limits and get it developed. And we never have to write anything out of our pocket. We're going to generate a lot of income, and yes, we won't get to keep it all, but we're going to have a whole lot of income we wouldn't have otherwise. And George is not wrong, but we need the growth, and I think we've all decided that we are, thanks to the general so far as we've been decided, and I'm certainly in favor of giving some of this back to make sure that we have this kind of growth and prosperity. This can put Kerrville, we're on the map now. There's must be 1,000 communities in Kerrville that, I mean, in Texas, that people don't even know where they are, but people know Kerrville. And we're a garden spot in the state, in a great state, and this kind of project is just really icing on the cake, I think. So I think we're really glad that these gentlemen are here helping our community, and it's a little bit of price to pay, and we appreciate them being here, investing their money in our community, and we think as a community we can invest a little bit back to help make sure that it happens.
Any other discussion? All right, a motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, so vote. It passes unanimously. Item 5E, professional services reimbursement agreement between the City of Kerrville and West Springs Development. Mr. Hornis.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is, it's just kind of a function of how MuniCap and our other financial advisors through this process, the mechanism that they would get paid. And so the agreement is between the city and Whiskey Springs. They would deposit initially $25,000, and then so we've had Mike Hayes has had some consultation with Pitt attorneys. Jennifer and her team from MuniCap have already kind of done some work. This gets that process started, whereby we could get them paid. So as those funds are drawn down, as MuniCap and our financial advisors and bond counsel, et cetera, do their work, those funds would be replenished, or if it's quick and easy, those funds would be returned back to Whiskey Springs. But this enables us to not have a cost to the taxpayer for this, like the creation of all these documents. This will go for the PID documents, the TERS documents, kind of from soup to nuts. And so we have similar process with Freeze and Nichols or with our stormwater engineers, where it's a pass-through fee. It's paid for by the developer. We take in those funds, then we turn that around and disperse it. So there's nothing we collect out of this. It's, again, a pass-through fee. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hornis? Do we have any citizen speakers?
Yes, sir, we have one, Pablo Brinkman.
Mr. Brinkman.
I yield.
Oh.
That is a first.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Any questions for Mr. Hornis? Is there then a motion on this professional services reimbursement agreement?
I'll move to approve the professional services reimbursement agreement.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Our next item is 6A. These are ordinances with public hearings. Let's start with 6A. Shelley, would you mind reading that in?
Certainly. Ordinance number 2025-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 60 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kerrville, Texas zoning code by changing the zoning of a property known as 225 Shriner Street from a residential transition zoning district, RT, to a downtown arts and cultural zoning district, DAC, and providing other matters relating to the subject. There are no citizen speakers signed up. However, this is a public hearing.
Mr. Paxton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance to change the zoning at 225 Shriner Street from RT to DAC, Downtown Arts and Culture District. It is adjacent to an existing portion of the Downtown Arts and Culture District. As part of the catalyst area for downtown. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved this actually back in May. This was pushed from June. This was pushed from our July meeting for the public hearing tonight. And the applicant is here if you have any specific questions about the property. Be pleased to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Paxton?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, I've been very talkative tonight, but, okay, I was curious about the reason for this particular change to a downtown arts and cultural zoning district. Why wouldn't they just have, I'm not even sure what the use intentions are. Is it for office space?
The reason for the change is to allow more flexibility through setbacks in the Downtown Arts and Culture District. As far as the use, I would defer to Mr. Champagne.
That would be great.
Go ahead, please.
Sure.
It's currently used as an Airbnb, and so if we could get our lot line, we could expand on the property to have more income-producing property.
I need you to state your name and address for the record.
Carrie Champagne, 225 Shriner Street.
So you'll consider the parking needs?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any questions for the applicant or for Mr. Paxton? Right, is there a motion then?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, we have to have a public hearing first, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let me go ahead and open a public hearing at 7:18. Anyone can speak, you didn't have to sign up. Go ahead, please.
I'm curious, Nikki Keynes, I live in the city. I'm just curious what the difference is, like you were saying, from an RT, and he said it's currently like an Airbnb, and he wants to change it to the Downtown Arts and Cultural Zoning District so he can add on to it? Is that what you meant? Correct. So if it's already zoned for that, what benefit is it to changing it to this, the arts and cultural?
That's kind of what my question was too.
Mr. Paxton?
So the development regulations, specifically the setbacks, are reduced in downtown arts and culture district. So it allows them to build closer to the property line than RT does.
Any other questions for the applicant or Mr. Paxton? We're still in a public hearing. Anybody else wish to speak? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:20. Happy to entertain a motion on this ordinance.
I'll make a motion that we approve the zoning change, ordinance number 2025-15 on first reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. Passes. Item 6B, another ordinance. Shelley, would you mind reading it in?
Certainly. Ordinance number 2025-16, an ordinance amending Chapter 60 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kerrville, Texas, zoning code by changing the zoning of a property known as 1421 East Main, consisting of approximately 1.77 acres out of the J.A. Tivy addition and within the City of Kerrville, Kerr County, Texas, from a neighborhood commercial zoning district C1 to a light commercial zoning district C2, and providing other matters relating to the subject. There are no citizen speakers signed up. However, this is a public hearing.
Thank you. Mr. Paxton?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a change from C1, neighborhood commercial zoning district, to light commercial zoning district C2. It is surrounded by RT and R1. Again, it is existing commercial zoning. It is within the neighborhood residential district of the Kerrville 2050 future land use map, which does allow for small amounts of commercial and carefully chosen locations. Just a quick photo of the property. As you can see, there is one adjacent home. There's an existing office on the property, and the goal is to open a cabinet shop for the remainder of the building. Later this month, you'll have a conditional use permit before you for the cabinet shop as well. There is an existing screening fence that would meet the zoning requirement adjacent to the residential. And based on the flood zone on the property, there'd be very limited room for any expansion of the business from the existing footprint. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval in July. I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Paxton?
Was that unanimous with planning and zoning?
I believe so. Stephen, do you remember? There was one dissenting? Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Four
Is
to
the
one.
applicant here?
Yes, the applicant is here if you have
Would
any
you like to
questions.
speak? You need your name and address for the record.
Stephen Butcher, 3200 Pinnacle Club Drive. So I purchased this property through Mike Stavanoa, and honestly, I'm in residential construction, so I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to commercial construction. And so going into it, and I used his daughter as a realtor too, and she's not a commercial real estate agent. And so going into it, we didn't even think about even asking about zoning with it being a laundromat. I just assumed, and we all know what assumptions get us. So I'm just here. We have a cabinet shop on Junction Highway right now, and we're just looking to get it closer into town, a bigger spot to where we can hire on some more employment and just have it closer to our job locations.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Butcher,
So
any
you're just,
questions?
I'm sorry.
Any questions for Mr. Butcher?
You're closing down the laundromat and replacing it with a cabinet shop,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am, and we've already upgraded a lot of things on that, on the building now.
Okay.
One side of it's gonna be, my plumber is gonna be officed on one side, and then the cabinet shop would be on the other side.
Okay.
Any other
I
questions?
have some questions, like,
Yes, ma'am.
would there be anything that you would manufacture or do that would be kind of offensive to a residential neighborhood, like storage of lumber or noise levels when you're making these pieces, whatever, as a resident? I don't know if we got a letter from the lady who lives next door, but I'm just curious what you would have contained in your building versus what might be outside your building that might interfere with a quiet, calm residential neighborhood.
Sure, yeah, so, as far as the noise, we're not doing any painting on site, so that, or as far as fumes and stuff, for sure, because the lacquer, it would probably make a lot of people mad. So we have a shop in Junction that we take all of our cabinets to get sprayed. Now, as far as manufacturing cabinets, you know, we'll have table saws and such going, but doors will be closed. We have duct systems going in for the sawdust, and then, you know, we're going to still have AC and heat, so the guys won't have to open windows, and all of our storage will be inside.
I know you have a pretty good storage area anyway, though,
Yes.
which is
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
But okay, that helps a lot. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions of anyone before I open the public hearing? Go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:25. Anyone can speak, you don't have to sign up. Mr. Brinkman.
Pablo Brinkman, 3928 Oak Park Drive. This was my listing prior to Stacy signing or selling it. For highest and best use, this makes sense for Mr. Butchers and what he's doing. There's a lot of buffer. There's a whole triangle of land in the back that he'll be able to put things. You know, there's an easement back there, and so, you know, as far as noise, I don't think anything. When he answered about the lacquer, that was my only question too, Delane, was that. But it's making the best use of this from going to the C2, in my opinion.
I went and
Thank you.
looked at it, and I agree.
Anyone else? Speak. All right. I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:26 and entertain a motion on ordinance number 2025-16.
I'll make a motion that we approve the zoning change on ordinance number 2025-16 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously. Item 6C, this is another ordinance. Shelley, will you read us in, please?
Yes, sir. Ordinance number 2025-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 60 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kerrville, Texas, zoning code by changing the zoning of a property known as 2210 Highway 173, Bandera Highway, Lot 2, Block 1, out of the Oak Hollow Estates Edition and within the City of Kerrville, Kerr County, Texas, from a neighborhood commercial zoning district C1 to a light commercial zoning district C2, and providing other matters relating to the subject. There are no citizen speakers signed up. However, this is a public hearing.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Paxton.
This is, as Ms. McElhannon said, zone change at 2210 Highway 173, Bandera Highway. If we had noticed this, or the question had come up closer to the adoption of the current zoning code, I think this would have been a prime example of a incorrect application of the new zoning district. C1 is typically tucked into a neighborhood where this is on the highway, so C2 is absolutely appropriate for this location. The new updated future land use map has this identified as community commercial as such. And the applicant is here if you have any questions. Be pleased to answer any.
Can we consider some kind of zoning change near this location recently?
Yes. To the southeast of the property, we had a zone change. I believe it was C1.
Any questions for Mr. Paxton before I open up the public hearing? Public hearing is open at 7:28. Anyone can speak without having signed up. Mr. Brinkman.
I yielded that earlier, so I had to make that up. Pablo Brinkman, 3928 Oak Park Drive. We represent the owners of this, and we're fortunate enough to put the tenant in here. The applicant is here in the back. And Drew and she taught me some things about this, why we needed it C2. One, it should have been C2 to begin with, but she, if you notice my eyebrows today, they're looking very weak, but she's going to be doing some eyebrow work on me possibly. And so in order to do that, it requires a C2 zoning, and who knew that? So again, we're learning about zoning a little bit, but this is a perfect example. As Drew said, when we went through the Kerrville 2050, it's one that kind of got away that should have been C2 and not a C1. Thank you.
Any other speakers? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:29. Applicants here, would you care to say anything, ma'am? All right. Entertain a motion then on ordinance 2025-17.
I'll move to approve the zoning change in ordinance number 2025-17
Second.
on first reading.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously.
Make that appointment, Pablo.
Does good work.
We'll be judging your eyebrows later, so.
Please come back so we can see the improved.
All right, we have public hearings and resolutions. Do we read in resolutions when we have a public hearing? No? Yes? No? All right. 7A, continuation of a public hearing, a resolution, and resolution number 19, 2025, authorizing and creating Whiskey Springs Public Improvement District in accordance with Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code. Mr. Hornes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll be brief. We've kind of gone through a lot of the meat and potatoes of their development request through the DA. Jennifer Sloan is here from Unicap on our side.
Our side?
I keep saying that. I know. But just to kind of refresh everybody, what is, what are PID bonds? What are they used for? It's a low-cost source of financing for public improvements. It is a big hurdle for a lot of developments, hence the 20-plus years that property is kind of sat vacant, right? It gives them an opportunity to kind of front-load a lot of that infrastructure and then get that reimbursement back through the assessments. It's secured by the land. It's not, again, secured by any indebtedness of the city. It doesn't affect our credit ratings. No impact on our bond capacity nor our bond rating. And they are responsible for all the PID creation and bond issuance costs. So that was that previous item for our portion of the costs, but all of the costs of the issuance of this will come through the Whiskey Springs development. Now, those are all reimbursable costs through the PID bonds, right? Because they're a part of that process. So they will likely put those through that way. So how does the tax increment work, right? So it's going to be 100% of the existing appraised value, 70% of the property taxes, the O&M property taxes from future appraised value, and then that 35% tax for the 20 years for the hotel and the sales tax. And the big piece is that, again, it's only an incentive if it's developed, right? All of this is performance-based. The city's tax dollars are not impacted by this. This is the lowest impact, highest use that we could see out of that property, given the acreage, right? Now with that, I will turn it over if you have any questions about the PID process, resolution creating the PID, which is included in your packet. And again, Jennifer Sloan, she can help us kind of talk through some of the particulars if you have specifics.
No, any questions from Mr. Hornes before I open the public hearing? All right, go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:33. Anyone can speak on this subject. Go ahead, please.
So I remember reading it. Is there an actual hook or requirement that the, so you're really just talking about the PID here, but you brought up this other stuff that I think it was designed to be the rebates were going to somehow reduce the actual PID assessment tax on the actual buyers. Is that something that sounds familiar? And if it does, the question was, how are you going to actually hook that? You know what I'm saying? Do you understand my question?
I believe I do.
Okay.
So they're two separate things. So the TERS component would be the buy down of the PID assessment. The rebates for the sales, for the commercial and for the hotel are separate from that entirely, so.
Mr. Brody, we have to record this, so could you ask your question in the microphone, please?
Jennifer.
So the question is the
Can you
TERS
sound
money, so is the TERS money that's, I guess, being used to buy down the PID, how is it getting to the actual PID payer? Because like I buy a home there, which isn't going to be possible, so we're just hypothetical.
Sure.
And I'm paying a PID tax. Theoretically, the TERS money is coming back to me. Is that right? So
That's correct.
where's the hook for that? Is it in the PID document or the TERS document?
It's going to be in both.
Okay.
So when we create the TERS and that project and finance plan will show how that TERS will be used. Again, as he said, there's two different elements. You have the 380 grant for the sales and the hot tax. The TERS money will be used as an offset. So when the PID assessments are billed each year, they will get a credit from that TERS amount, and that will be placed. So when we, every year when we come before you and show you what the assessments are going to be for the next year, you'll see not only what the assessment was, but what the TERS credit is, and then what the final assessment is.
I know you've been referenced several times, but we have to record this. Can you state your name and?
Yes, Jennifer Sloan, and I'm with Municap.
Any other questions for Mr. Hornis or Ms. Sloan? All right. I suppose I should close the public hearing. Close the public hearing at 7:36. And would be happy to entertain a motion on item 7A.
I would make a motion to approve 7A. I just touched the screen and screwed it up there. Resolution number 19-2025, authorizing the creation of the PID.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously. Item 7B, resolution number 16-2025. This is also a public hearing. This is a resolution granting a conditional use permit to authorize a daycare services for children on the property located at 851 Clay. Paxton?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a conditional use permit for daycare services for children. The daycare itself will actually be in the C2 zoning district behind it. They're actually only putting the playground on the RT lot. So there's the daycare. Across the parking lot, they'll have the playground. There are several conditions of approval limited to the installation of the outdoor playground, no greater than 40 by 60 feet, walkable or a walkway appropriate for children and their safety be provided from the daycare to the playground. Vehicular access is prohibited from Clay Street. And then, of course, the owner and operator of the daycare services shall all follow all Texas law related to the daycare from Texas Human Resource Code. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved this in July. Be pleased to answer any questions. Ms. Niles is here to represent the applicant.
Lynn Niles, 1726 Sidney Baker. And the Starks who own the Learning Stampede, this will be their third daycare facility. And the state of Texas requires, no ifs, ands, or buts, that you have a playground space for your children. And so fortunately, the owner of Mr. Ray of H&R Block, who will be our landlord, will be at the rear of that building, owns the vacant lot immediately behind. And it's not in use, so we would just be using a maximum of 40 by 60 fenced and meeting other restrictions or requirements so that they can start daycare. There's real demand in Kerrville for.
Ma'am, there is.
Yes, and so she only left because the baby was not enjoying the meeting.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and
Please,
I
please
wanted
tell
to
her,
volunteer to go get her, but.
please tell her
So-
that babies are always welcome.
I did, I told her that. So we really appreciate your consideration.
Right, any questions?
Just have one. She leases from this gentleman, so she would be leasing that portion of the land.
Yes, he coincidentally owns, Mr. Ray and his wife, the building that we have a signed lease set to start tomorrow if we are approved for playground space. And he also owns the vacant lot, coincidentally, which is perfect.
It is. I drove over there and looked at it, and I think it is
Uh-huh.
perfect because it's very close and very
Very
walkable.
close, and they'll
Just,
put in nice fencing.
If they should if ownership should change, though, I just would caution you to have something in the lease that this continues should the ownership change. That's your business, but I'm just saying, if that is a requirement of the daycare.
Well, buyer would have to honor the lease.
Yes, they would.
That's what I'm saying. I wanted
And
to
we
make sure.
have tentatively, I mean, we have a 4-year lease currently.
Okay, good.
That's how we're starting.
Great.
And so,
All right, any questions before I open the public hearing? Or have I already done that? I can't recall.
No, sir, you haven't.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Someone.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:41. Any member of the public may speak. You have to sign up. I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:41. Is there a motion then on resolution number 16-2025?
I'll move to approve the conditional use permit and adopt resolution number 16/2025.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. He's just quicker than you.
He is.
I know.
He's on it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, so vote. And passes unanimously. It's hard to believe we started at 2 p.m. today, but we're getting there. Board appointments. 8A. This is an appointment to the Building Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Mr. Harris.
Yes, sir. We have vacancies. We had 2 applicants, Councilmember Seagram and I both spoke to Mr. Justin Foster as well as Artie Vargas, who wish to serve and are looking forward to it. And I would make the motion to appoint Justin.
I just want, is it Justin?
Yes,
So you have Jason.
I have
so-
Justin. Well, I wrote Justin. That's Jason, but it's Justin.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I want
Oh.
to make sure on the certificate
Okay.
it gets right. that's all.
Justin, Justin.
Thank you.
Foster, thank you. I'll make the motion to appoint Justin Foster and Artie Vargas to the,
I'll second.
there we go.
Can you designate which one's the alternate and which one's the regular?
Artie applied first, so we'd make her the regular.
Thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, so vote, and it passes unanimously. I see no need to go into executive session. Are there any items for future agendas?
Nope.
We have a public hearing about it if you want. All right, not hearing any items for future agendas. We'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:43.
Well done, Mayor.
Good job, sir.